When a big bank speaks and gives prognostications, should we listen? I think so. But what about the World Bank? They're in a league all of their own. Let's find out what they just said about the precious metals in this video as we explore. There has been no doubt that gold, silver, and platinum have done very well. And by the way, so has palladium by extension. But nonetheless, these three metals have certainly shaken the foundations of the world economy by performing quite well, taking them up along in terms of some of the largest valued assets and reserve assets out there. And I think that is quite profound and tells us something about what's going on in the world today. No one is ignoring it, including the World Bank. And what they just said about it is quite intriguing. Before I get there, I want to remind you about Summit Metals. Check them out next time you're shopping for gold, silver. They have competitive prices, excellent service, and fast shipping. Elevate your wealth with Summit Metals. Now, gold price prospects are skewed to the upside over the next 18 months, while silver and platinum are projected to build on their recent strength through 2026, according to precious metals analyst at the World Bank. And I'm going to stop there because when you think about these analysts at these different banks, many people are skeptical. Many people feel they use psychology to manipulate the markets or to tend to tilt the kind of the versions of whatever they think is going to be for the markets to kind of sway opinions and maybe even trades in the marketplace. But I don't necessarily see that as the case, especially considering what they're looking at and how many of them are kind of coming to some of the same conclusions that we as individuals are as well, or at least in terms of other professionals that aren't in or work for these banks. Precious metal prices surged to record highs in the first half of this year, building on a 20% increase in 2024, according to senior economist Jitendra Kadan and researcher analyst Katrina Tamaj at the World Bank's Prospects Group. The rally was led by gold, which approached all-time highs in mid-June amid escalating geopolitical tensions and elevated economic uncertainty, as reported by Kitco. But, it is remarkable and something that we have been saying. Gold did break an all-time high when adjusted for inflation. This metal has broken records this year. It's been an amazing thing to see. And it's really not that far off from happening again. I think it very well could, and I think the World Bank believes that as well. That's why I still believe in gold, and I'm still in purchasing it. In fact, stay tuned, because towards the end of the video, I'm going to show you my newest piece that may have not been shown anywhere else. At least I've not seen it shown anywhere else on YouTube yet. It is quite intriguing, this piece of gold that I'm going to show you, so stay tuned for that. They added that silver and platinum, that's this metal right here, which is getting some buzz as well too, although not on this channel, but I'm talking about more and more, coupled with other topics related to gold and silver as well, because it's important. It's been rallying like crazy. Been something. Silver and platinum have posted strong gains, with prices expected to remain elevated through 2025 and 2026, according to them. In fact, platinum really is outperforming, at least for a part of this year so far. It's been a pretty amazing run to see the metals move as sharply as they have. And gold was up nearly 25% during the first 6 months of 2025, the analyst noted. Recent price increases have been driven by strong demand amid elevated policy uncertainty and intensifying geopolitical tensions. A sharp resurgence in gold exchange-traded funds inflows in the first quarter of 2025 pushed investment demand to its highest level since 2022. Central bank purchases continued to provide support, reflecting reserve management strategies. And that is something that is not going away. Now, admittedly, there has been a slowing of addition to gold to the reserves of central banks around the world, but it has not stopped. And even if it were to stop, I think it's still going to prop up gold's price because they're not selling. And I know I'm not selling. I continue to be my own central bank, and I encourage you to do that as well. You don't have to buy full ounces to get there, by the way. In fact, there's some good deals right now for fractional pieces as well. And that's why Summit Metals has really been a leader in that area, especially for fractional gold eagles. The authors of this report from the World Bank wrote that strong demand is expected to persist in the near term, supported by elevated global uncertainty and geopolitical risks. Gold prices are expected to rise about 35% in 2025 year over year, before easing modestly next year in 26 as some of the prevailing uncertainties begin to recede. If that happens, we may see it heat up again, but hopefully it will recede. Nonetheless, prices are projected to remain well above historic norms, around 150% higher than in the 2015 through 2019 average through 2025 and 2026. Risks to the outlook are tilted to the upside, with geopolitical developments expected to remain a major source of uncertainty. Silver has also maintained its strong 2024 momentum, gaining nearly 20% in the first half of 2025. Even with strong silver price gains, the gold to silver ratio climbed further above its 10-year average in early 2025, and that's frustrated many silver stackers, and by the way, including me. But I know why it's happening, but nonetheless, it is frustrating. And we see that continue to move in an upwards trend. This partially reflects stronger relative demand for gold as a safe haven asset and heightened uncertainty and geopolitical tensions. In fact, many people use the argument that gold is hoarded or treasured as a case for silver. But I think it's exactly the opposite. It is because people are hoarding or treasuring gold as to why its price is so high. Demand is really crucial and key here, especially as a safe haven asset. There's a lot of demand for silver, but it isn't in the industrial sector, and that's weighing in on its price moving upward as well too. It's starting to catch up a little bit, slowly but surely, but we'll see what happens later in the year. I think we're going to see the ratio narrow personally, but we'll see what happens through the course of time. And going forward, the World Bank expects silver demand to remain robust, supported by the gray metal's dual role as both an industrial input and a safe haven asset. Now, I don't understand why they're using the term gray metal there. In fact, I used to not say much when they mention this. Silver is really its own color, so just call it silver. But at least it's a white metal. It's very reflective. It looks much more white than platinum. Platinum, if anything, should be known as the gray metal. But I digress. That's just kind of terminology is what they have going on there. Heightened economic and geopolitical uncertainty could further bolster silver's appeal among investors, according to the analyst. On the supply side, global output is projected to rise steadily in 2025, driven by expanding mine production. Recycling, which accounts for about 20% of global supply, is expected to remain flat, around 6% increase in 2024. On balance, firm demand is expected to lift silver prices by 17% in 2025 based off of last year. In other words, year over year, with a further 3% gain projected in 2025. That's pretty modest in terms of the price increase, but at least it's a steady upwards move, and that's really what we want rather than radical moves to the upside, which we may get some of that, considering, depending rather on what geopolitical and domestic economic uncertainties lie ahead. It seems like we probably have been through the worst of it, but you never know what could happen. This rally has been largely driven by tightening supply, with mine production projected to decline and reach a 5-year low this year, they wrote. Modest gains in recycling are expected to only partly offset the shortfall, while above-ground stocks are set to decline sharply. That's a little different than what was said by the Silver Institute. Platinum demand, however, is expected to see significant declines from both the automotive and industrial sectors, which together account for nearly 2/3 of global platinum use. That is something for sure, as we see this demand. That's why I'm pretty bullish on platinum. It sounds like they are too. Significant declines over the course of, especially with the industrial sectors. Despite subdued overall demand overall, supply constraints are expected to support prices, with a 10% rise projected in 2025 year over year and a further 2% gain in 2026. So again, a relatively modest projection, and not really saying a whole lot as to what those numbers will be, but rather percentage gains overall, which is probably a safer way to make some of these prognostications and predictions for the precious metal prices. Now, looking ahead, the World Bank believes gold prices are on track to reach their highest annual average on record. I believe that for sure. Silver prices are expected to increase further, underpinned by resilient demand, where tight supply conditions will continue to support platinum prices, according to the analyst. However, a further escalation in global tensions could lift gold prices above current projections, whereas weaker than expected industrial activity may dampen demand and drag silver and platinum prices below current forecasts. And I'm telling you, folks, it seems to me that unless China invades Taiwan, I don't see things escalating a whole lot more than where they are now. But anything could happen. Who knows? And we just have to take things as they come. Now, the newest piece of gold I got, I ordered this as soon as it came out. I just kind of like this design. It's different for the Dragon series, the Dragon Bar, the Gold Dragon Bar from the Perth Mint here. This is the 2025 version, the first time that they've actually dated it on the reverse here, which is kind of intriguing. This is indeed a coin bar. It is a coin, and a $100 denomination from Australia. The first time they've done this starting in 2018. And I'm debating as to whether or not to collect these. I don't know. I need the years 2019 and 2021. Those are the only 2 years I need left to procure and to get updated on the set. But then there's another set that I need to keep up to date. And so far, there's no end in sight for this program. If I knew they were going to end it next year, I may just say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get those last 2 bars and get 2026, that would be the end. But it sounds like with this design change, as radical as it is, they will probably have some more wild and crazy designs in coming years. So that is the latest edition, another ounce added to the stack. But let me know what your thoughts are on the Dragon Bar, and also on what is going on with gold, silver, and platinum according to the World Bank. I post daily videos in the world of precious metals with analysis such as you saw here, and the market conditions and prices. I hope you will consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. And with that, I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.